Are you looking to get behind the bars of an old Harley and do it without breaking the bank? Then this video is for you, because this video is all about the humble Harley Davidson Sportster. I love pretty much any motorcycle, but I love Harleys the most, and I love old ones the most, and of those, I love the Sportster the most. Why am I so excited about this? Well, I don't know. The Sportster has a really special place in my heart, and it probably does in the hearts of many of you too. They're just humble, they're good bikes, they're simple bikes, they're cheap to buy, cheap to run, cheap to maintain, often really reliable, and they're the bike that got many of us into motorcycling, or at the very least into Harleys. And from that perspective, I just love them. So if you want to buy an older Harley, specifically an older Sportster, and you're kind of wondering what should I spend, that's what we're going to talk about here today on this channel. And I'm going to take my phone out, and we're going to put a screen record up here on the side, and I'm just going to browse through Facebook Marketplace and give you all some idea on current real world examples of marketplace value of older and vintage Sportsters. So we're going to start with the Ironhead bikes and work our way forward into the EVO bikes. I'm gonna kind of break this down into some year ranges and generational stuff. I'll talk about that in just a second, and we're gonna look at different examples of stuff that's currently for sale right here in my marketplace. Buckrack Cycles is my little business, and I buy and sell and fix and flip bikes, and I also fix them for other people who bring them to me, and then videotape all of this and put it up here on the internet for y'all to see. So it gives me a pretty good idea of marketplace values, and it's always fun to talk about what stuff is worth. People seem to really like that for some reason. So let's get into it. So we're gonna break this video down into basically 3 parts: early Ironhead Sportsters, late Ironhead Sportsters, and EVO Sportsters up until 2003. 03 was the last year of the rigid mounted engine in the Sportster lineup, and that's about as new as I usually go with bikes that I flip. It's kind of like the era of bikes that most people are bringing me to work on, and yeah, it's just what I'm comfortable and familiar with. As far as those Ironhead bikes, the early to late split, I'm gonna put it at like 77-ish. So with all of that out of the way, let's release the cell phone and start looking for projects. So let's start things off right here with this bike. It's a 66 Ironhead. This bike was actually for sale like 2 or 3 months ago for I think $3,000. The guy at the time had it listed and said he basically couldn't get it kickstarted. He was having trouble figuring out how to kickstart it, and so he just wanted shed of it. I thought about going to buy it. Looks a little goofy with the seat took off, but with the seat set back down on it, I think it's a pretty good looking bike. It's in a rigid frame. He says title in hand, kickstart only, right hand shift, rigid frame chopper, shifts gears fine. More pics of the video, more pics of bike running. Site would only let me show one video. 5,000 or best offer. It's XLCH. It's a lunchbox bike. This is a cool bike to me. This is something that I would own. $5,000 is probably not too bad off at the 3, or maybe it was 35 he had it up for a few months ago. I probably should have went and jumped on it. I just didn't have the extra cash at the time. Rigid frame, maybe not for everyone, but there's definitely some people who are looking for that. So here is a 71, 2,500 bucks Sportster. Runs, rides, needs some carb work, new battery on it. Right side shift, electric start, clean Tennessee title, 2,500 or best offer. Hey, is it perfect? No. Is it like all super original? No. Does it really matter? I don't think so. It's 2,500 bucks. It runs, it rides, it has a title. Yeah, it needs a little work, but it's a great start to something that you could make your own. And the 71 model, that's pretty old. You're probably going to be the oldest bike at the bar if that's something you're into. Here's a really cheap one, 73, 800 bucks. It's down at the beach, probably has a little bit of salt rot rust going on to it. Cool patina to the tank set though, and looks like this thing needs a lot of work. Bike was rescued from a yard in Pawleys Island. Like I said, it's about 4 hours away from me at the beach. blah 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 blah. It rolls, miles are unknown, motor status unknown, doesn't run, no title, due to this age they're not hard to get. If you buy it, it'll tell you how, set you up with bill of sale. That line always has been so strange to me. It's like, oh well, if it's so easy to get a title, then why don't you get a title? And instead of an $800 bike, then you have a $1,500 bike. At $800 with no title, it's basically a parts bike. Alright, here's a cool one. I really like this bike. This is a 64s, kick only, looks like it's an XLCH. Man, look at the tins on that bike. I really like that sort of peachish color to the tank set, and it has that orange, you know, sort of like sunburst outline. This looks like a pretty complete, pretty original bike. I really like this thing, man. Old school cycle electric generator. 64 XLCH, great compression, transmission shifts smooth, clutch feels good. Blah blah blah, not running but won't take much. $5,500. What do y'all say? Is that too much? Is he right on the money? Probably a little more than I would want to spend, but man, like even like $4,500, and then you throw a little bit of time and energy and money into that, that's a sweet ride. Like, that's a cool bike. And it's fairly early, and it's kick only, and it's XLCH. Those are the bikes that are usually worth more. So for me personally, that or some of these like rigid frame chopper projects, I'm picking this. This is what I would spend my money on. This is something that to me is cooler and is probably gonna hold value or gain value more than like a chopper bobber project. Not that there's anything wrong with chopper and bobber projects. Next up we have 74 Sportster. This was listed 17 minutes ago. It's in a rigid frame, kind of like that 66 we looked at a little bit earlier. Has a Springer front end on it. Looks like a project, but it's a fairly complete project, it looks like, looking through these pictures. Let's go back to the listing and read. It says, project about 85% done, needs brakes, foot pegs, couple little things. Says transmission clutch is good, CV carb swap, drag specialty frame with the MSO. I don't know, usually something with an actual Harley title and Harley frame is worth more than something with MSO that you have to custom title. But for $3,000, that's probably a pretty good start to a project for someone who's interested in it. It's a little bit, maybe it's not steep, I don't know. This kind of stuff where it's like rigid frame choppers really starting to get customized, it's sometimes hard to put a value on. And I think this is something that people were kind of griping about in the last video. They're like, well, you showed rigid frames, you showed cut up bikes, you didn't show enough original bikes. If the original bikes aren't out there, I can't show them. Let's see what we can keep finding with Ironheads though. Maybe we can find something that's older and fairly original and get a good value on that. Here's a pretty cool bike. This is a 66. It's up in Tennessee again. Video of it running. Idle down a little too low. Don't need a potato, a Sportster. Cool paint on this bike. Cool looking bike. XLCH, kick only. Nice looking bike. Is this the same guy with the orange and peach bike? Maybe. 66, yeah it is. 66 XLCH, 14,000 original miles, one only owner, painted in the 70s, held up really nice. Runs and rides, clean title, $6,500. The right person will probably give them that for it, honestly. That's probably, this is a good example, I think, of a running, riding, titled, cool looking 60s kick only bike at $6,500. $6,500 is probably more than I would spend on a bike right now at my point in life. It's out of reach for me financially right now today, but I don't think that that's an unreasonable price for this motorcycle. And I'm gonna let this be kind of the last bike to close out the early section of bikes. This one was listed 19 hours ago. It's in Raleigh, so about 2 hours away from me. $1,850 they're asking. It's an XLH 75. This looks like a pretty nice bike, actually. Yeah, I like this thing. 75, runs well, recent service, numbers match, clear title in my name, sorry no trades, $1,850. This is the belle of the ball to me that we've looked at so far. If you don't have your heart set on like a 60s bike, like an earlier bike, or a 50s bike, and you want something that's 70s, that's still kind of a little more vintagey feeling than the 80s models. The 80s Ironheads to me feel a little bit more modern. man, 1850 sounds like you could probably ride at home, or if you live reasonably close. Clean title. I like that. That's a good deal. I should go buy that. All right, first up is an 81 Sportster. They have a video of it running. I don't know if it comes through on the camera. Sounds decent. Only a couple of pictures here. Swing arm frame, kind of has some A-Pamers going on. 81 Sportster light project, had it running a few months ago, lost interest in ridding it. Has Mustang seat, looking for trades. I do have the back fender for it. $1,300. Says nothing about a title. If they have a title at $1,300, hey, you know, it's a good start to a project, and I wouldn't be scared of that. Here's an 85, so last year production. $2,000. It's been up for 7 months. Last year, the Ironhead, highly collectible bike. Debatable. Needs a carburetor. Have the old carburetor, but leaks gas. Bought a cheap Chinese one, but never put it on. Price firm. Looks like this bike has been sitting for a while. It looks like someone has tried to turn a Sportster into a big twin with the big seat and the big handlebars and the big tank. I don't know. That's a bike that's no more than $1,500 to me, and I don't even know that at 15 I'd be in it. All right, here is an 80 model, so in our late model stuff. Let's see, 2,500 or best offer. It says 7,800 miles. Don't know if that's when it is when run parked. Wow, that was a hard sentence to read. I didn't do so good at that. Ran when parked, needs a battery. Doesn't say anything about a title. $2,500. Mag wheels, disc brakes. You know, sure, it probably needs some tires. Who knows? That's a little high. I think that's a bike that for me is like maybe a $1,500 to $1,800 bike. But you know, maybe they're negotiable on price. It does says or best offer. Here's an 85, again another last year production Ironhead. It's up in Virginia. 85 Sportster, runs right, has clean title, blah blah blah. $1,700. Little peanut tank, black. Only 2 pictures. Guess it leaks oil, judging from the amount of oil drops on the asphalt underneath it. But hey, many of them often do. $1,700. You know, if it runs and rides, has a clean title, shifts and stops, maybe you throw a little bit of money at it, and you're in the bike for less than $2,500 to be riding around on a piece of cool old American history. Not so bad. All right, so that wraps us up on Ironheads, and let's kind of just do a sweeping collection of value for these bikes. Obviously, the early stuff sells for more than the late stuff. Duh. It's older, therefore more rare, more desirable. In the early bikes, if you're talking a 50s or 60s bike, that's where you're looking at the stuff that's $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, maybe even $10,000 or more. As you get out of the 60s into the 70s, the price starts to come down a little bit, as we saw in this video. Those are bikes that, you know, depending on the condition, how much of a project you want, how original you want the bike, you can be into a 70s bike for $1,500. You can be in a 70s bike for $5,000. Price is kind of variable there too, but let's just say for like a good running, riding condition 70s bike with a title, $4,000 is like a nice middle ground. And you're gonna hear that sort of $3,000 to $4,000 mark a lot in this video, because $5,000 goes a really long way in Sportster land, regardless of what year you're looking at. The later model bikes, the late Ironhead stuff, into the 80s, again, $4,000 gets you a bike that you can ride home and basically, I don't want to say be completely trouble-free, but for instance, my bike, my 83 Ironhead Sportster that y'all see on this channel all the time, I would never sell it, but realistically, the value of that bike is roughly like $4,000, and that's a motorcycle that I have put thousands of miles on over the last few years. It's really actually pretty reliable, doesn't give me too much grief and too much trouble, and it's really fun to ride. And a bike similar to that, in similar condition and similar mechanical and paint shape, you should be able to buy for about $4,000. And I think you get a lot of value for your money at that mark. So with all that out of the way, let's jump into EVO Sportsters. There are some screaming deals on EVO Sportsters right now, so let's get the phone back out and start looking for some. My camera battery died, so while I was waiting for it to charge back up, I did a little browsing to speed this up for myself. So y'all will see a lot of these listings are marked saved, and I'm just going to browse through these saved listings. Let's start right here with this 94. This was listed 8 days ago. It's a 1200. Nice, pretty color blue. Looks like the paint's in pretty good shape. From the 2 pictures that are here, looks like this is a pretty nice bike and looks like it's fairly well maintained. Trying to zoom in on that front tire. Maybe it looked like the tire was a little low. Let's read. Ready for anything you want to do. Screaming ankle package, full exhaust. Sounds great, rides better than the new ones. 10,500 original miles, new battery and rear tire. Blah, blah, blah. Clean and clear title on hand, ready for a new owner. 3,500 bucks. I think that's kind of top dollar for an EVO Sportster, even a 1200 of like this generation, like 90s and 2000. That's a price that I don't expect to see this bike sell for, not at this time of year, not in November with winter rapidly approaching. $3,500 in late April or early May, this guy might actually get 3,500 bucks for that bike then. Here's a 98, another 1,200. This one is 2,300 bucks. Says nice bike, ready to ride, price to sell, tires are 90%. 2,200, is it 22, is it 23? Dealer sale, so taxes and title fees will apply. Even at that, maybe you end up out the door at 25, 26. Regardless, this looks like from these pictures, it's kind of hard to tell because it's a black bike and the pictures are a little bit dim. 15,000 miles on this thing. It looks like a pretty nice bike. Say you're in it $2,600 out the door. Really, that's not much these days for a motorcycle. You could probably ride home and then just go enjoy. Here's a 93 XLH 883 3750. Again, this is absolute top dollar price, I think. This looks like a really nice bike. Only one picture. It does have kind of like this walk around video. Better than average, well maintained, no test rides without motorcycle endorsement, cash in hand. If you contact me, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't say anything about a title. I'm just going to assume it has a title for that kind of price. Again, it looks like a really nice bike, but it is an 883, and this is like top dollar pricing. Again, like knock $1,000 off of that and I'd probably be interested, but at nearly $4,000 at this time of year, getting up there. All right, here's a 96. This is an 883 again. Some people shy away from the 883s. I will touch on this briefly while we're talking about this bike. The 883 definitely does not have as much power as a 1200. If you're not trying to do a lot of interstate riding, it's not really that big of a deal. Or if you're not trying to keep up with guys on big twins that really like to rip. So if you can find some guys who are riding bigger bikes and they will just chill a little bit, the 883 is fine. Or if you do a lot of solo riding. I've had 883s. They have like just enough power to get out of their own way and be, you know, fun-ish, but they're not going to try and throw you off the back of the seat when you crack the throttle open. They are extremely reliable, very good on fuel, so don't be afraid of an 883. I'm just putting that out there. There's no 883 slander here on this channel. Anyways, this is a 96 883. I think this is a cool looking bike. This is a nice looking bike. 15,000 miles, 21-inch front rear, 21-inch front wheel, 16-inch rear. Chain conversion, new pads and rotors, matching front fender was removed but comes with the bike. Oh, I didn't even notice the front fender was took off. Moved recently, don't have a place, 3,000 or best offer. I don't know, maybe you go offer the guy 2,500 bucks for the thing. Maybe you shoot a little bit lower, 22. You know, I'm trying to look at this from the perspective not so much as someone who's trying to flip to make a profit, as someone who's just trying to buy a bike to take home and ride. And if you're in that for 22, 23, 24, or even 25, I mean, it's really just not that much, and those are really good bikes. Here's an 88. This is a little bit earlier of an EVO Sportster than some of the other stuff we've been looking at. Or best offer, $2,500, copy of title and key. Doesn't say if it runs, seats took off of it. You know, we're all kind of right in here in the same price range is what you're gonna be finding really fast on these. 95, 2600, runs and drives, been serviced in garage, kept looking for cash, possibly trades. I'm not crazy about the bars, I'm not crazy about the white wall tires, I'm not crazy about the exhaust, but maybe the stuff you are crazy about. I often have to make that caveat on these videos that I might look at a bike and say, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like this, and someone else might look at that same motorcycle and say, I love that, it's perfect. And that's what's fun about this. Here's a 95, only 2 pictures, looks like pretty nice paint. 1200, not crazy about the pipes on it. Again, maybe that's something you are. It just says that it runs great, aftermarket exhaust, big bore kit, blah 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 blah, mini eggs, sissy bar and bag, $2,500. Doesn't say anything about a title, but who knows. And finally, let's wrap it up with this bike. This is a first year production EVO Sportster. This is an 86. No front brake. It's kind of choppery looking. Looks like it has some extended fork tubes. Okay, I don't know what the S10's about. Let's read. Runs and rides, looks at trades. Oh, I can throw my 92 S10 for the right trade. $2,500 for this bike parked. Nice picture sitting there by the river. Yeah. So, as y'all can see, EVO bikes. Did we look at anything over 4,000? I don't think we did. $4 grand goes forever in rigid mounted EVO Sportster land. $2,000 goes a long way in EVO Sportster land. Arguably, the EVO Sportster engine is the best, most reliable engine that Harley has ever made. I've done some other videos about that, and y'all can argue about it in the comments. I really don't care. Yeah, like, if you're looking to get a bike, if you're looking to get a Harley, and you want something pretty cool, pretty reliable, pretty cheap, easy to work on, EVO Sportster. Every time, EVO Sportster. Alright, so that brings us to the end of the video. $5 grand goes a really long way in Sportster land. There's some good deals right now. I'm filming this in November. Y'all will watch this in November. This is the time to buy a bike. November, December, January, February, when it's cold outside, especially before Christmas. I hate to be that guy, but you know, realistically, the closer you get to Christmas, the more people are looking for Christmas cash, and so they're more willing to part ways with a bike that's just been sitting around and that they can't sell because they gotta be Santa Claus. So yeah, if you're looking to buy an old Sportster, now's the time to do it. Just do it. You'll never regret it. You can't go wrong with the Sporty. I love these bikes, and as y'all saw in this video, a big part of why I love these bikes is because they are so accessible. Even the really old stuff that's commanding higher prices, you know, 7 or 8 grand, it's still so much more affordable to your everyday, like, working class, regular blue-collar person than like a panhead or a shovelhead is. And while I love the pan stuff and the shovel stuff and the flathead and the knucklehead stuff, realistically, for so many of us, that stuff is just out of reach. Yet the humble Sportster still remains the you know, the everyday person's bike, and I love them for that. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Hope it was informative, entertaining, a mix of both, or maybe you hated it, and you'll let me know that too. I'll see y'all on the next one. Bye.